Hi everybody, thanks for joining me again. Today we're going to have a short lesson on ghost notes. I'm going to tell you what they are, how they're used, and how they are notated. It's pretty simple. Ghost notes are basically notes that are quieter than your primary note. For example, if you play a simple pattern of backbeat on 2 and 4, you might add some ghost notes underneath that, some 16th notes. That will add a lot of dimension to your playing, a lot of dynamics to your playing. It also helps to propel the rhythm that you're playing, the beats that you're playing without too much complexity getting in the way of other instruments. Now, when you see the ghost note on a music chart, you can identify it by parentheses around the note. So your primary note will just be a solid eighth note, quarter note, whatever. The ghost notes have a parentheses. And you'll see that notated in the drum beat that we're going to play. We're going to start with a simple beat today, and then in future lessons we'll get into some more complex beats using ghost notes with rebounds, etc. But for tonight we're just looking at just the general concept of a ghost note. Okay, so when you play the ghost note, again, it's really about two levels of playing, two volumes of playing. Your primary note is going to be up here, like a nice solid hit, and your ghost note's going to be below it. So the idea is you have two dynamics going. The key is this, is that you want to be very consistent in your playing. In other words, you want the dynamic range to be large, and you also want to be consistent. If you start to play too close together, the ghost notes lose their effectiveness and therefore kind of defeat the purpose, okay? So when you practice this dynamic and this dynamic together and try and be consistent with that. Now, how are we going to apply the practice and then apply the beat? The practice you could do just by hitting quarter notes, eighth notes, something like that. So you want to first find your two levels of dynamic. I tend to hit backbeats with using the rim in addition to the drum head, so I get a nice solid crack. Sometimes it takes a little to find that on your drum. A lot of beginner drummers have difficulty in applying that, but once you do, it's just a great way to kind of differentiate the sounds for you. So here's the loud sound, or my backbeat. It's going to be here. And then here's my ghost note volume. It's going to be here. So I'm just dropping the stick, basically. I'm not even making a wrist turn for that. It's nowhere near there. It's basically I'm just dropping the stick. Okay. So now if I practice those two different dynamics and try and be consistent, it might work like something like this. Again, here's my dynamic at the slower volume or the lower volume. So now we're going to play, we're going to apply a very simple beat that every drummer plays when they're first learning how to play drums. And the rhythm, again, is below on your screen. Here's your simple beat. Okay, so that's an example of how you might play it with no ghost notes and as a beginner player. Again, no ghost notes, everything's sort of at full volume. You'll note that there's no complexity to your sound, there's no groove to your sound, it's very mechanical. You know, drum machine could produce that. Here's that sound again. And so now I'm going to apply ghost notes to the 16th notes in between the 2 and 4, and it's going to sound like this. So that's basically it in its simplest form. They're just softer notes that support the groove. I'll do one more example just with the hands, or one more playing just with the hands. And here's non-ghost notes. Okay, simple as that. So join me on some other lessons where we'll get into more complexity. Like I say, we'll talk about ghost notes with rebounds and just more complexity in your playing. Thanks a lot.